So I'm going to share my screen with you guys in just a moment. We're going to go through this as if I'm a teacher. All right. So hopefully at this point you can see the icons for the Launchpad. And as we always ask our students, give me a thumbs up if you can see that so we can continue, please. Thank you, Carla. Let me reopen my chat so I can see that too. I don't want it to be on the screen. Something about Zoom, if you open up a window, it will obfuscate or show like a green square or whatever. So you might want to get that off of your screen. Hopefully you don't see any of those. Thank you, Brittany. All right, so from Launchpad, we go to Lightspeed Classroom. It's found right here. It looks like it has a little Star Trek symbol on it. Sorry, Star Wars fans. Sorry, not sorry. And it should do a single sign-on for you as well. Mine went right to it, so I'm going to log out and log back in. And then refresh. So when you first click on Lightspeed, it'll take you to this screen. Make sure you sign in with Google. I know a lot of you are tempted to do the password in the email. Just sign in with Google, please. Choose your account as a teacher. I'm going to be choosing Discovery today for this tutorial. And at this point, it should take you to the Lightspeed screen. And at the top right, you'll notice this one says test class, but for you, it may have browse, it may have a class name. If you click on that caret, it will drop down a menu so you can see the different classes that are assigned to you. So we're going to be using the test class this morning. You can see 2 students, the unknown test. And this is a real student. I don't know how we did that, but it's a real student here at the school. So I guess we're okay there. Good morning again. All right. So I'm going to go to a class that may not have some of these things set up. So let me do that real quick here. Let me go to 004. And what I mean by not set up is a lot of people are getting this configure schedule on the left-hand side. So what Lightspeed wants you to do is to set up a time for your classes. You can set up a time between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. if you want, but you just go to configure schedule. Up here it says custom or ad hoc. We're just going to use custom. You choose the days of the week and the times. So let's say we want to choose Monday, Wednesday, and Friday only. Click on the little clock. Let's say we want to start at 8 a.m. and just scrolling through. And the next one to end, sorry, by 8 p.m. Click little plus sign and then save. Now it's going to do some of its little magic stuff here, and then that will turn from configure to who's currently browsing. All right. So let me go back to the test class. And I was trying to set up, I have a question in chat I'll get to in just a moment. Thank you, Starla. What I'm doing is I'm logging into a student Chromebook. And guess which student I'm going to log in as? You get nothing if you guess right. You get nothing if you guess wrong. I'm signing in as the unknown test that's down there. So we're watching this in real time, and you can see that the unknown test is grayed out, so is Jamari, because both of those students are not online. So 7004 as test. Robert Daniels enter. Let me add him. And then let me put in the password for this student account. So you can see in real time that it's signing in. I don't know if my little camera is still active or not. But I'm holding this up. I had another camera set up, but it wasn't working. So it did sign in. And now you see in real time that it shows up down here. And let me move this out of the way, sorry. Let me move the toolbar. There we go. Hopefully that little obfuscation went away for you. Let me keep signing in. So you can see what the students are doing in live view right here. So I'm in Launchpad. That's the other domain name for Launchpad. Yes, welcome. Welcome. It's good to see you too. All right. So at the moment, all I can see is the Launchpad. So if I want to see that, I can click on the list view, which is already showing, and then the heat map view, which is here. I can see who is active by which one is filled in, and then show all screens is a little demanding. Some of you have probably figured that out, like when you try to do this on your own. So this is really good. This is what I would recommend for doing something where you have to monitor the student's screen. I wouldn't recommend it, say, for iReady or for STAR testing or anything like that, but because you're just going to have the students on Zoom. But for this, you want to see what activities they're doing. So if they're going to other locations, other sites. But let's say that I want to see their screen. And right now it's showing the Launchpad here. So you click on that icon to see it in larger view. And now I'm going to come over to the student computer here. And I'm going to go to focus. And you can see in real time that it's showing that on Lightspeed. Questions so far? You can ask, you can chat. I know a little bit of sign language.
Eric,
Yes,
doesn't it show like a line that shows where they're browsing and their browsing history? Or...
Yeah, so if you click on the actual student down here, you can see the tabs that are open, and you can also go into which tabs are open, browsing history, which right now you can see what that pesky test student has been up to. And you can also look at a history here from using the drop down. So you can choose a date that you would like to check.
Okay, and you had just said that this wasn't real helpful with STAR testing. And when we were doing the STAR testing, they said, oh, you know, monitor them by watching them, which I did. But then they said, oh, use Lightspeed. But I couldn't use Lightspeed during the STAR testing. And also, those students weren't my students. So they weren't in, you know, I couldn't go to a class list. They were,
okay.
You know, a group of students that was just assigned to test. So
correct, Brittany.
Yeah.
What Brittany typed in the chat, I don't know if you can see that, is absolutely right.
Yeah. So I really couldn't use Lightspeed during the STAR test.
Right. And in that case, you would probably want to reach out to us if you have a, how do I say this nicely? A suspicion that one of your students was using another device during their testing, or if they were using other websites. We can always look that up for you. It's tricky for us, but we can do that. And by tricky, I don't mean complex. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, we just physically watched them, the two of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is more for if you're trying to help them through something and you want to see what they're actually doing without them sharing their screen with you. You can do this. This is really helpful too. It's helpful to you, in my opinion, if you have multiple monitors, and you can put the Lightspeed on one monitor, and you can do what you need to do on another, if that makes sense too. Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other questions so far? Okay, not seeing any. And I'll just answer them as I see them in chat too. So some other things you can do with this are pretty nice to do. You can send a link to students directly, and it will open in a new tab. I don't know if you can see the little window that popped up there. So if you want to direct them to a certain website, I don't know, let's say lvs.fovs or vsa.fovs.net, because they can't get to it for whatever reason, since we're at the beginning of the school year, you can send them the link directly through the class link, and it will show on their screen. And I'll show you if I do that. I'll try to anyway. I'll try to hold the Chromebook up. I really wish I could have gotten the two cameras working for you. They should be, yes. Brittany's asking, as kids are added to Focus, are they automatically added onto this roster? It may take a little while because Lightspeed is pushed by Focus, AKA pushed by mainframe, but yes. So let's see. What did I say? Oh, VSA. Go ahead.
I have 92 students in Focus, but I've been working with AJ and I can only see 50 no matter what. I don't know how to see the other kids.
Yeah, the class size is restricted. I do know that you can do an ad hoc and to add on a class, but I don't know if that's going to be something that will work. AJ, are you here?
I'm here.
Okay. Is that something that you?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
Because I already enabled adding classes to teachers, but she's still not having that ability. So I'm using something for Lightspeed set up.
So we're waiting for Lightspeed to contact AJ back. He's working on that for you teachers right now.
I knew he was working on it, but I just wanted to let, I don't know how many Brittany has, but you can only see so many, even if they are in Focus right now.
I'm pretty sure I was able to see, I'll double check, but I think I was able to see the entire class roster, which, you know, in one of my classes would have been around 100. Let me double check before I sit there and say that out loud.
100?
I mean, my anatomy class, my marine science class has upper 90s last time I checked. So let me double check.
You guys are so awesome. That's amazing.
It's nothing compared to a lot of these other teachers.
I got 141.
So now it's time. Okay. Mr. Daniels, this is a no flex zone, sir. I'm kidding.
Okay, then really if you're going to do that, then mine's 92 times 4. Because
yeah, you win. You win. I know. I don't even want to start saying anything about my class sizes because I know it is nothing compared. Okay, weird. So yeah, it does only show
50
students.
Or 49, whatever.
Yeah. It'll say 42, you know, away and 8 present. Interesting. So there are a lot of kids missing on this list.
Okay. That's the other thing too, is the fact that, you know, even in this small Zoom meeting that we have right now, we have a lot of different experiences with this. So I appreciate the input because there is no way I'm going to know all this stuff. And I'm so thankful for AJ. He does so much work behind the scenes to get you guys what you want. So big shout out. Where was I? Oh, I was sending a link to a student. So I'm going to send this out and it opens a new tab automatically. That's very helpful, especially if you're trying to get testing started or doing something with them. So that's a helpful tip to use as well. Let's see here. You know, I started to make a PowerPoint for this and I'm like, I'm just going to answer questions as best I can.
I watched the video that you sent last week. I thought it was helpful. I mean, helpful enough for me to use it without ever doing a training. So I figured it out kind of.
At least this way you guys get some PD points.
Yeah. So it might be a question for like admin, but is there like a specific protocol that we follow if we do see students, you know, like excessively using YouTube or, you know, on Google at the same time, like typing in vocabulary definitions in Google at the same time they're taking a test or something like that?
So I'm going to open up, my screen is still showing, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to open this up and I'm going to show that in real time what I'm doing here. So I have another tab open on the Chromebook. This is so not professional. I'm so sorry. And I'm going to go to YouTube since you mentioned that. And this is what we normally see. Now, as a classroom teacher, and some of you are very familiar with this too, this happens constantly. Just a constant. It's like they have to be on YouTube watching something. Either, let's do this. Let's do what I normally would see.
They watch videos of kids, other people playing video games.
Oh, okay, so they're Twitch gamers. Okay.
I'm watching a student watch a video right now.
Same. 5 ways to tie hoodie strings.
Wreck-It Ralph and Minecraft Challenge the movie.
All right. Wreck-It Ralph is a good movie. Anyway, yeah, let me go to Pixar trailer. So you can see what I'm doing in real time on here too. And by real time, I mean that it's pretty accurate. But if they're doing something like that, you can actually close that tab for them and it goes away and it goes right back to where they're supposed to be. It's a good way to redirect. I don't want to recover my password. Thank you.
When you send them a message, because I did that as well,
Yes.
can they message you back in that same way?
They can just close it. The experience that I've had, and there's only so many messages that you can send. I keep holding this on my shoulder.
No, I
okay?
see it. And I did a custom
Right.
one that, you're limited to like 150
Good, yes.
characters or something like that. But yeah, and I just said, hey, Nick, you've been on YouTube for a while. You need to focus on your pace charts or something like that. And I don't know if he responded. I don't think he did.
It shows on the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. It shows on the bottom of the
Oh,
screen.
yeah.
And then the student can answer that. So that one is a yes or no. So if I answer yes, look what pops up on the screen over here. So this kid needs help. If I go to this one, it'll show that little help right there. So that's the way to communicate. It's not effective. What's your custom one set for? Yes or no?
It allowed me to just fill it in. It allowed me to type a message.
Well, isn't that smart?
Yeah, it was like, it limited to 150 characters or words maybe. And I just said custom message, hey bud, you've been on YouTube for a while. You need to do something else. Yeah.
Is there a district expectation or anything like that, or any type of guidelines for students that we can say, hey, this Chromebook is provided to you for academic purposes and should not be used
They're not
for,
gonna read it. You can.
okay, but there's nothing like official in writing anywhere that we can send to them that looks and sounds official?
Not too much. I mean, if you have a, what's the word I'm looking for? Someone who's habitually doing stuff like that, then that's another issue. But for the most part, their kids are gonna get off topic. So they did sign, not in person. Brittany asked, did they sign something when they got their Chromebooks? Yes and no. They were supposed to go through the orientation. Notice I said supposed to, and they were also supposed to watch the first day videos. And the teachers across the board were pretty accurate and consistent about the devices you got were, you're supposed to use those for schooling. And then they went off and said, well, you can use other devices. And that's where it gets tricky. That's another reason why we don't want them using their own devices. We want them to use a Chromebook because we can see this stuff. What if they're on their own device and in Lightspeed? Great question. Will we see them? Maybe not. I don't think I've had that experience. Have you guys?
If it's signed into the Chrome browser, they're both signed into the Chrome browser.
AJ saying if they sign into the Chrome browser, it should work. That'd be something I'd like to test.
I had a student that was taking the iReady the other day. He's one of my 6th grade homeroom kids, but it wasn't showing him as being active in Lightspeed. Does that
Was
make
he on his
sense?
Chromebook or on his own device?
I assumed that he would have been on his own device if he wasn't showing up on
But
Lightspeed.
yeah. So if he's not showing up as active, I would assume he's on another device too. That makes sense.
So even if they do sign in through their dashboard or Chrome browser or whatever, they wouldn't show up as active.
That's going to be a problem. That's something that I would need to look in, or if AJ already knows. AJ, are you familiar with that at all? If they're signed into their own device, they are not showing as active in Lightspeed, even though they're showing as being there, they're not showing as active. Is that what you're saying, Brittany?
Yes, he was in the Zoom taking iReady, had completed the iReady test, but he never showed up as active in
Was it
Lightspeed.
grayed out on Lightspeed by chance? Do you recall?
It was gray, so that meant he was away.
Got you. So it shows them as away if they're on another device, AJ.
Yeah, but I mean, if you sign into the browser itself, browser.
Browser? The browser. Gotcha.
I mean, wouldn't he, in order to get into iReady, he would have had to go through his Launchpad.
Yeah, but that doesn't sign into the browser. So just like
Could
how
also
you
be
have
done
to
over
log
the second.
into,
That doesn't sound accurate. So they have to be on Chrome.
So just like how you have to log into your browser to get your password to sync, Lightspeed is an attachment in their Chrome book. So as soon as they load the profile onto their Chrome browser, it will start working. But if they don't log in because it's not required to on their personal device, it won't show.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
so let's say they're on their personal device and they are logged in one window with their school Google Chrome account and another window with a different Chrome account. You can only see what they're doing on the school Chrome account.
I think so.
that's correct.
Yeah, AJ just confirmed that. Are we going to catch everybody? No, we're not. And they will take the time to find more ways around this stuff sometimes, and they will take the time to actually do it the right way. So the best thing we can do is be that supervision, that guider that's there, and be sure that they know. We can see, what you're doing, which is the reason why, like in the iReady and the STAR testing, when we do the progress monitoring, we want to see them. Because obviously, if you see this going on, something's up. Does that make sense?
My thought was that just once they realize that we can tell what they're doing in the school browser, that'll be when they start doing their schoolwork in the school browser and open up the second browser window under the other account.
I agree.
Because, let's face it, the kids are mostly as tech savvy as me and you. And that's immediately where my mind went.
They are tech savvy only for the things with which they have an interest or
Yes.
that they use on a regular, like Snapchat, Instagram, maybe YouTube. But when it comes to doing some of the things that we need to do for testing, that's when you notice more of the hand-holding has to occur, which is, to me, it was a little bit off-putting, but I understood it. They can show me all day long how to make sure that I can add a story to my Instagram, but they can't tell me how to navigate LVS or the VSA interface properly.
Fair point. Fair point.
So when it comes to monitoring stuff like this through Lightspeed, the best suggestions that I would have is just to make sure that you're using this is an old school teacher term, with itness, to understand what they're doing. If you don't see their screen change for too long, like I've been on that, this test student has been on the Launchpad for quite a while, but yet they're supposed to be doing their iReady. So that would prompt me to nudge them and say, hey, you know, what's going on? You need any help, anything like that, or speak to them if I'm on Zoom or on the phone or texting or adding to my stories. So more options over here. Just before we do anything else, you can do a screen lock. You can share screens and you can do further class settings. So if you do a screen lock, you can lock screens for 5 minutes. It'll not affect the students who come online. So if I apply that right now, that shows and it locks the screen for 5. It gives them a break. The reason for the 5 minutes is for you to interject a redirection of sorts, or to have mom or dad come back and be like, hey, get to work. They probably wouldn't do that because that's wrong. Kind of. So for right now, my Chromebook is locked for the remainder of this 5 minutes. Now we tried this on the video and I think I had to edit it out because it stayed locked. So we're gonna find out here in just a few moments. But I think there's a minute requirement, a certain amount of minutes that are allowed for this to get PD points. You know what I'm talking about. Don't even look at me like you don't. So yeah. Conversations or questions surrounding anything I've covered so far, or maybe a question you have or an observation you've had using Lightspeed. I'm going to unshare my screen here if it'll let me. Hold on. I'm trying to see if chat has anything either. Stop the share. And I have it available in case you need to go back to it. You're very quiet this morning. I'm just waiting for this to unlock.
Papers at the same time.
Absolutely. I didn't hear that.
Right now I'm having fun telling students to get off YouTube. And I have one that's on TikTok. So.
Hey, I'm sorry. Hey.
Yeah.
I didn't do that right. There's another way to do that, but I can't do that on this professional development video. It'd be very wrong. That's okay. When I got here, I taught some of the staff how to do the floss dance, you know, the backpack kid. They didn't know.
Eric, when you turn it off, like to just stop them, does it show which teacher is doing that?
Yes. I don't know if you can still see, but it says locked by teacher D. That's right, teacher D. It's because my account is logged in under the Discovery account, so it starts with the letter D. So yes.
Now, you put the kids on to Lightspeed. Do we have to activate them or anything? Or
No.
Once they're on, they're active?
If they're in your course, like what Brittany said earlier, I think it was Brittany, if they're actively enrolled in your course, it's pushed through to Lightspeed, so they're automatically there. What we were talking about earlier is if they show inactive, they may be logged in through their own device. And in that case, it might be near impossible to do any kind of monitoring with that. It'll show inactive. Let me go to Jamari.
I was asking that because at my old school, we had to add them in. And then if they withdrew, we had to drop them. So
yeah, it's changed. Can I show you something too? Let me share my screen once more. I need to pick the right screen this time. There we go. And let me hide this. There we go. Hopefully you can see class, or I keep wanting to call it class Lightspeed again, but I'm on Jamari Jacobs' account and I can see browsing history still, even though he's inactive. So any browsing history for yesterday, day before. It's probably not the best student to do this for because we've had some issues with Jamari signing on, as you can plainly see. Yeah, just nothing. But it would still show up browsing history. So if you wanted to check it, you still could. Is what I meant. So there's still a way to see what they're doing.
We were probably a little more aggressive with it because we would send things like, please don't tell us you haven't had time to do your Edgenuity. We can see that you do have time. So
Absolutely.
we use things like that. Or if they were supposed to be in a class doing something, another teacher would jump on and say, you're in math and you're supposed to be doing math. Why are you on YouTube? So we were a much smaller school, but we were a little bit more aggressive about it.
That's part of that with itness that I mentioned earlier, that term. Like I said, it's an older term, but it still applies. Keeping your wits about you during a live session, it still applies.
Please don't refer to that as an old term. That was like the going catchphrase when I was in college.
Absolutely.
You make me feel old.
You're not old. You're much younger than I am. So what do you think? How do you think I feel? And let's not start. I already know what's going on over there. Check out that Bitmoji. Like what? Okay. Let's see. We have just a few more minutes left. I'm not sure if I can add more to this because you all seem to be well versed in this, and I appreciate that so much. I do. That means less phone calls to us.
Eric, I have a quick
Hey,
question.
Metzner.
What did you suggest the time settings be for, like when you do the class settings?
Time settings, I usually set it for 30 to 45 for each session. So that way I can manage those times myself. But that's completely up to you. Like if you're doing a DBA and that DBA needs to last for 30 minutes.
So you can't like have it monitoring, like, because I had it before from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Yes.
And I was
still
seeing if there was
alter
a way
that.
to like, say that again.
You can still change that. If you go back into, you want me to share?
No, I know how to change the class settings.
Oh,
I just didn't know if there was a way to do it like 24 hours.
I don't know. I haven't tried 24 and that seems exceedingly like a long time, but I understand that it could be any time of the day that you want to see what's going on, but the browsing history will show anytime.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know because I've got, a lot of times kids are turning in work at 12 o'clock at night.
Oh yeah.
Which
how
I don't
dare they-
care. I don't care when they
Yeah.
turn in work, obviously, as long as they're turning in work. But kind of like what Peggy was saying, when they say the excuse of, oh, they don't have time. Or if
Right.
a parent says, my kid's, using their computer inappropriately and I want that shut down or whatever.
Well,
I've had that before too.
we unfortunately get reports like that into the office, and usually it's because it's habitual, blatant, malicious, or naughty. So we have to then go into what we call relay administrator, and we can see everything. And it's I'm glad AJ's on it because I don't want to do it. But we get into that moment of we have to check to see what's going on. And there have been some instances, unfortunately. I think for the most part, our students are kids. They're just kids, and they're going to get off task, and they're going to watch, like you said, the YouTube and the TikTok stuff. They're going to watch that stuff during a course. Me as a teacher, I used to give them a little latitude about that. And even during my Zoom sessions when we were doing Home Connect, I would make sure to stop and talk about something else and ask them questions randomly throughout. That would keep them engaged because it's the attention span of a gnat. I know that sounds horrible to say it that way, but it's a very short attention span. You guys have been great today.
We had to stop some young ladies from visiting with the guys in prison because that was inappropriate. use.
Uh,
You know?
You think?
Yeah, yeah. So
And I hope that you reported that.
yeah, we did intervene when, you know,
No, I hope you reported that. That needs to be reported.
yeah, yeah.
Max monitoring time is 12 hours. Okay. Thank you for checking that, Brittany. I appreciate that. We're coming up on that time, so I am going to share the pass key. So I'm sure you guys know this, but I'll put it in chat anyway. Here is the conference information. So if you want to go to that site, you might have to, I don't know if that's clickable for you. And the pass key. To get your professional development points. My certification comes up in 2024, but I still try to get as many as possible. And these are easy ones. Not like ESOL 18 hour or whatever. If you're a reading teacher, it's much more than 18.
I've noticed with the 2 renewals I've had to do at the virtual school, having enough PD has not been an issue. It's having enough of the ESE hours.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we're hoping to have more of these available for the ESE as well. So that's going to help everybody.
If anyone's asking for suggestions on PD, it's hard, like, so for annual contract teachers, if we want to bump up the whole career ladder thing, whatever, it's really hard for us to get PD in that classroom management bucket, which is like bucket 5. So I know there's quite a few teachers that are struggling with that. I had to do some stuff over the summer, like book studies or whatever, in order to get them.
Well, with classroom management, like managing behaviors and redirections and stuff, is that what you meant?
Yes,
Or-
and so, well, that's, they have, you know, certain buckets that they have, the
Right.
PD falls under. Honestly, I would call this one classroom management as opposed
This
to
is classroom
technology.
management. Absolutely. This is
well-
classroom management.
I think it should fall under that number 5 bucket. When she sent it out, she called it, Dr. Irvine called it,
Well-
sorry, called it technology.
Oh, okay. So what I would say is record these sessions for yourself if you can, and that would be an artifact for one of your buckets. Would that not qualify?
It has to be like whenever we aren't the one to designate it, whether it's classroom management,
Okay.
like it has to
And
be
that
set up like
artifact,
that.
that artifacting needs to be, does that back it up or you just say it?
When
know what I
you
mean?
complete a professional development, it already falls under a certain designated bucket. Whoever makes professional development determines what
Okay.
type it is.
Yeah, I don't know what this one is. I think it's technology. I don't know.
Mhm. That's why it's hard for virtual. Like we got tons of technology, but it's hard for us to get any kind of PD that's classroom management.
You know what? I'll look into more stuff like that for us. Classroom management. What's another one that's tough since you, I'm not familiar with the buckets too much because I've been grandfathered in. So yeah.
It was hard. I finished them over the summer. You have to have 360 professional development points to move up to the career, which is the 10-year level.
Right.
And 180 of those 360 have to fall within 6 specific buckets. So 30 within each of those 6 specific buckets. And that's what I was having the hardest time with, is bucket 5, which is classroom management.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, part of why I'm here is to find ways that's going to support the teachers the best. And if you need more classroom management bucket PD, then that's what we'll look into. Okay. Are
Thanks,
there
Eric.
any other, you're very welcome. Are there any other questions or comments or observations?
Have a good weekend.
Same to you. All right. Well, I'm going to end the session. Thank you so much for joining. Hopefully it was helpful. Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day and weekend.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.